everyone, it's Miss Sarah, Vice Principal at LISM. And today I'm going to be talking about the transformation of the UAE from sand to land. So if you think about the UAE, it has a lot of sand. But even longer ago, it had even more. We've done so much beautiful buildings. Let's take a look at all of the different changes. So around 50 years ago, Dubai was mainly a desert. It was one of the hottest and inhospitable places on earth. How was it transformed into a modern city, which is the fastest growing city on the planet? What would you need to build a city in Dubai? Dubai was a dry and harsh place, a desert land of sand. What challenges do you think the engineers faced? If you think the sand, how did they build on this? The challenges of building in the desert. The ruler of Dubai, Sheikh Mohammed bin Rashid Al Maktoum, had a vision. He wanted Dubai to become the greatest city on the planet and create a modern city that would rival some of the greatest cities in the Western world. There were many challenges that engineers would face in creating a city in the desert. You can see right here, Dubai. And if you think about it, have you ever been to Dubai? What does Dubai look like now? Another challenge they had was finding water. Finding a water source was a very important starting point for developing Dubai into a city. Why do you think water is so important? In Dubai, there are no rivers, hardly any rain, yet it now has water in abundance. A few miles to the east in the Hajar Mountain, geologists found evidence of water in the deep waters. 2 million years ago, Dubai was a wet place, but over time, the water dried out as it rose. The water moved underground, flowing deep under the city. Engineers used this water to kickstart the growth of Dubai. How did they get the water? Sustaining a water source. So they found a lot of water. How could they make it sustainable, lasting a long time? Dubai, and in fact, the whole of the UAE, now rely on huge-scale desalination plants to sustain the vast amount of water needed to fuel the city. These plants convert seawater into fuel. This water is used for over 3 million people and is also used in the main buildings. Water cooling for buildings. What building do you see right here? It's the Burj Khalifa. Now, it's really important to cool buildings. Why? Very hot here, isn't it? The water networks are installed into many of the towers. Water is distributed through every floor and level of the building. It is pumped up in the building in stages to huge reservoirs. Then it simply falls back down. The water helps to keep the building cool. To cool an average building, how much water do you need? 250,000 gallons is used every day. Dubai has more than 200 skyscrapers constantly sucking water from pipes very deep in the sand. Being underground means they are shielded from the heat. Building on sand. Another challenge engineers would have faced when building a city in the desert would have been building on soft, movable sand. So imagine when you go to the beach and you can build a sandcastle. The sand pulls really easily. How can you imagine these engineers were able to build these massive skyscrapers on this sand? Keeping the skyscrapers standing tall on a soft foundation is a mega challenge for engineers. Sheikh Zayed Road in Dubai is home to most of Dubai's skyscrapers, each weighing up to 250,000 tons. How could they stabilize these buildings on a foundation of sand? They built some strong foundations. So you'll see over here in this picture, they have the building, long steel cables, pump concrete into the cages to build foundations. They've got a bedrock, and then the sand is around it. Let's take a look. Solid foundations need solid rocks to sit on. Engineers drilled deep into the bedrock below Dubai. In some places, bedrock can be found in shallow level. However, Dubai is one of the most difficult places in the world to build skyscrapers. Wow, you never would have guessed that because it's got so many beautiful, amazing skyscrapers. These engineers are very clever, aren't they? The bedrock is 130 feet under the ground. This meant drilling through 100 feet of sand to reach the bedrock below. They made long, deep pillars of concrete and steel for strong pipes. Protection from the desert winds. Who knows what building this is? Good job, it's the Burj Al Arab. Now, engineers vigorously tested the materials used for the outside cladding of the buildings during the design process. These use a jet engine to blow wind and water at the materials and check for leaks and damages. To ensure the buildings can withstand strong winds. The Burj Al Arab, one of the most expensive and iconic buildings, is wrapped in a strong steel frame bolted to a steel spine. It is much like an exoskeleton, spreading the force of the wind and stabilizing the core. It has shock absorbers inside the skeleton, which relieve some of the wind force and the motion of the building during the strong winds. Now, what have we learned today? I want you to take a paper and I want you to write 3 facts that you learned. We can answer some questions. How has Dubai changed over the last 50 years? Think about some of those problems that those engineers faced to build the building. Building on sand, very hard because it's very soft. How did they solve their problems? How did they overcome these challenges? Think about what Dubai used to look like and think about what it looks like now. Have you been to Dubai? Can you see all of the amazing changes that Dubai has been through? Thank you so much for listening. We'd like to talk today about the transformation from sand to land. We talked about the Burj Khalifa as well as the Burj Al Arab. I hope you enjoyed.